Hello! My name is Pei, and today we're gonna learn how to fight Royal Titans, which are an excellent mid-game encounter with some excellent mid-game drops. Originally designed as a duo encounter, Royal Titans put emphasis on movement and gear switching. Although the fight is much quicker with a partner, the mechanics are very easy and straightforward, so players often choose to do the encounter solo, which is exactly what this guide demonstrates. Royal Titans are located in the Asgarnian Ice Dungeon. There's a shortcut just west of the dungeon ladder which can be used for faster access to the boss, although you require 60 agility for it. The fastest way to reach them is by using the Giant Soul Amulet, which is a 1 in 16 chance drop by looting either one of the bosses. After you kill the Titans, you have the option of looting Brenda the Fire Queen or Eldrick the Ice King. They have a different drop table with some notable items. Brenda has the Fire Crown while Eldrick has the Ice Crown, and when combined together, these are used to craft the Twin Flame Staff. In addition to that, Brenda has the Mystic Vigor Prayer Scroll while Eldrick has the Deadeye Prayer Scroll, and these are direct upgrades over Mystic Might and Eagle Eye within your prayer book. These are both really good upgrades and definitely worth getting, especially if you're somewhere in your mid levels and don't have GP to buy Rigor and Augury, or if you're an Iron Man and don't have access to Chambers of Zarek yet, or you just don't have any luck in getting the scrolls. Just farm some Titans and you have a pretty good replacement until you get the endgame prayers. You wanna fight Titans with a combination of ranged and melee. The gear that I used in this guide is pretty cheap and accessible to everyone. As always, a good starting point would be to check the RuneScape wiki, which shows all the recommended gear from most to least effective. Titans are slightly weaker to crush weapons, but it's not really worth prioritizing over some better equipment. I used a whip and honestly, it's perfectly fine. So the gear that I used is worth around 23 million total, but you can reduce this further if you replace the Arania boots with Dragon boots and remove the Burning Claws. Then you're looking at around 15 mil in gear value. This is the bare minimum that I recommend, and it actually slaps really hard. If you have them, use Burning Claws. They are a cheap spec weapon which absolutely shreds Titans. This setup includes minimal gear switching. The Eclipse armor gives some strength bonus, so you don't really need a switch for melee. The good thing about this setup is that Eclipse Atladel's max hit is determined by your melee strength bonus, so you really wanna rock your regular melee items such as the Berserkering Eye, Fury Amulet, and let's say a Fire Cape. The more strength bonus you can find, the harder you'll hit. Atladel's range accuracy is still determined by the ranged attack bonus, so it's up to you to decide if you want to use a Fire Cape for an increased max hit or you want to use Avas for the increased accuracy. I don't really think the accuracy is an issue when fighting Titans, so I just max my melee strength bonus. Like I mentioned previously, I use Burning Claws as my spec weapon and my melee switch is only a whip and a Dragon Defender. The Eclipse Atladel and Burning Claws complement each other as they both add stacks of burning damage, which is kinda cool. Oh yeah, although the Atladel benefits from strength bonus, it doesn't benefit from piety, so you still wanna use Rigor while ranging the boss. You also wanna pre-pot a Divine Ranging and a Divine Super Combat. Get around 3 to 4 restores and fill the rest of your inventory with food. There are actually two different ways to approach this encounter. The first one is by having an additional mage switch in your inventory, so you can use a standard spellbook and fire or water wave the minions and douse fires. If you're using this approach, you need to make sure to have at least 70 accuracy so you don't miss any of your spells and lose out on DPS. I've tried this method on several occasions, and in all honesty, I just find it a bit unnecessary and tiresome having to constantly juggle between gear in order to kill a few minions, which in reality don't really do much. The second method is just face tanking everything and using trolls, which is what I'm going to show you in this guide. You can easily do 3 to 4 kills per trip once you get comfortable enough with the encounter. When you enter the fight area, you'll be greeted by these two badass giants. You can choose whichever you're going to kill first, and from my experience, it doesn't really matter which one. I usually start the fight with Brenda, the Fire Queen. This is a two-phase encounter, and there are only a few attacks that you need to watch out for. The first attack is called Fire or the Icicle Walls. The Titans will form a row of fire or icicle walls completely blocking the said row. You can douse this off by using water or Fire Wave if you're running a standard spellbook. Otherwise, just move out and make sure to not get stuck in between two walls. You can can also just stand in one of the tiles to prevent the wall spawning on that tile, which allows you to traverse the fight area normally, although you'll take around 10 damage if you decide to do so. The second attack is called Fire or the Ice Elementals, and Titans will summon 3 Fire or Ice Elementals that attack with melee. You wanna pray melee whenever they spawn, and once again, if you're running a standard spellbook, you can Fire or Water Wave to get rid of them instantly, otherwise just ignore them. If you ignore them, they'll self-destruct and deal some small amount of damage, nothing to worry about. You can use the Fire or Ice walls to your advantage and try to lure, for example, Fire Elementals onto the Ice walls when they're spawning. That way, you'll also destroy the Elementals. The third attack is called Stomp, and Titans will come to your melee distance and stomp the ground. You need to pray melee here and hit the boss with melee. When one of the Titans drops below 35% HP, the fight will transition to the second phase. Both Titans will make their way onto the main fight area, occupying 3 rows at both ends. You wanna use melee here and finish the boss that you started the encounter with. In this case, Brenda the Fire Queen. In this phase, there won't be any fire or ice walls, but the Titans will still spawn minions. They'll also attack with Stomp for the duration of the entire phase, so it's best advised to just have melee protection on at all times. The only new attack in this phase is called Elemental Blast, and the Titans will blast the entire area with their respective elements 3 times, except for one save tile where you need to stand. Here, you'll have to use a combination of ranged and melee, but it's nothing scary. So after Brenda falls below 35% HP, she'll phase out onto the main area. You're gonna switch to melee and start attacking. In a few moments, you'll see this kind of a yin-yang tile, and that's your indicator the Titans are doing their special attack. Just run to that tile and attack with ranged until it's finished. Afterwards, switch back to your melee and hit Brenda again. Continue this cycle until she's dead. Once Brenda is dead, just move on to Eldrick and continue the same cycle once again. Hit him with melee until he starts his special, then run to the save tile and range him. This time, save tile will be a bit further to the back, so don't forget to switch your atlatl to long range. Before you know it, Eldrick will get down on his knees and you'll get to claim that sweet loot. If you brought Burning Claws, you wanna use them somewhere, right? The way I do it, in phase 1, when Brenda comes to melee range for the first time, I just spend all of my spec bar. Once I kill both Titans, I usually have 60% of my spec bar again to spend on Brenda's first melee phase. It just kind of works for me, so that's what I stick with. I'm sure there are a lot of different guides with different approaches, but I believe this is a pretty easy and accessible method for everyone. And I mean, it works. The kills are fast, you can get a few per trip, and most importantly, it's a cheap setup. Here's a full fight for your reference, and hopefully you get spooned. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next one.